All right, hello everyone. This video is for my technical writing class as we are now in week 7. So we're almost done with the class, just this week and next week to go. This week, week 7, we are learning about graphics and presentations. So let me share the screen. We'll jump in and talk about the work for the week, assignments, things like that. Okay, so here's our announcement for the week. Last week we learned about job search documents. We composed resumes and cover letters. This week, we're going to be thinking about graphics and presentations. We'll begin planning out our final PowerPoint presentations, and we will finish the final drafts of our formal report. So the agenda for the week is as follows. The presentation plan assignment is due tomorrow, Saturday, October 16th by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Your week 7 peer dialogue initial posts are also due Saturday, October 16th. The final formal report assignment is due Monday the 18th. Your chapter 6 and 12 reading tests are due Tuesday the 19th, and the week 7 peer dialogue replies to your classmates are due Tuesday the 19th as well. So let's take a look at what the presentation plan is, the week 7 dialogue, and the final formal report. So let's jump over to week 7. All right, we'll start with the presentation plan. In this assignment, you'll produce a brief plan for the final PowerPoint presentation of your research topic. So next week, you will actually put together the PowerPoint. This week, you're just planning it out. The purpose of the final presentation is not to convey your entire research topic, but rather to concisely summarize the main ideas of your topic to a specific audience and identify one core message that you want to convey to the audience. This is a process that is pretty common in universities, especially if you go for a higher degree like a master's. You'll do a big research project, you'll write a big research paper, but then you'll be asked to present your research. And usually that involves a 5 to 10 minute speech along with a visual presentation like a PowerPoint. So we're kind of doing our own little shortened version of that here. So here are the requirements for your presentation plan. And remember, the important part here for this week, you are just planning it out. You are not actually putting it together yet. We'll be putting it together next week. So what I mean by that is next week, you're actually designing the PowerPoint, making all the content for the PowerPoint. This week, you're kind of just planning it out. So what you need to have for your plan, you need to explain your topic and purpose. So briefly describe the topic and purpose, what you want to accomplish with this presentation. A short paragraph will do to answer this. Next, you want to have audience analysis, write a brief analysis of the intended audience for your presentation. Explain at least 2 specific factors about your audience that will guide the organization and composition of your presentation. For your desired or your target audience here, I would choose, a manager. If you've been sort of addressing these documents to a boss of some kind, it can be that person. And what I mean by explaining 2 specific factors about your audience is like, what is it about who they are that shaped the information you presented them, right? Like why did you give them this information? How does the presentation match that target audience? And then finally, create a brief outline for your presentation that includes an introduction, main points, and a summary or conclusion. It doesn't need to be highly detailed. So basically all you're doing here is creating the outline for what your presentation will be, right? Doesn't need to be highly detailed, but enough should be included so the reader can determine the general content and/or core message of your presentation. Although not required, you may include any drafted PowerPoint slides you've created. You can get a start on it if you want. Your final presentation is going to require 6 well-designed slides and that include at least 2 graphics visuals. So you don't have to do that yet. You can just kind of create a generic outline. So the idea here is in a short paragraph, explain your topic and purpose. In a short paragraph, your audience, and then create a brief outline for your presentation. All right, if we go in here and take a look at the rubric, let me pull that up. Okay, so it's kind of just breaking it down by what is required of you, right? So your topic and purpose and exemplary means that your topic is clear and concise, that your purpose is clearly stated and very specific. Your audience, that you have specified target audience, and that you have identified 2 specific factors of that audience. What I mean by that is, again, just thinking about 2 elements of who that audience is that your presentation kind of caters to, right? Next is format, that you are fully adhering to outline format. content, that your outline is logical, provide the general sense of the content of the presentation, and then writing mechanics that it's virtually free of errors. Okay, so that's the presentation. I don't think it's too hard. Essentially, you're writing 2 small paragraphs and a little outline. Let's look then at the final formal report. All right, so for this assignment, you're going to submit the final draft of your research report. So we wrote the first draft of it. I gave you some feedback on it. This written report is the culmination of the research on your topic for this class. It should be a representation of the writing process, planning, drafting, revising, and proofreading from your first outline and draft to your final product. It should reflect the recommended revisions, edits, and additional research needed from your first draft submitted in week 4. So you look back at the paper you turned in week 4, you look at the comments and feedback, and you expand it, improve it, flesh it out more, develop it more, turn it into a more professional, formal, finalized project, finalized report, right? The final report should be polished, professional, detailed, yet concise, and include information integrated from your sources with APA citations, balanced with your own analysis and ideas about the topic. So here are the guidelines. It has to have a title page or a cover page, has to have an introduction, has to have a body, has to have a conclusion, and has to have a reference page. Standard APA stuff here. It must incorporate a minimum of four credible sources. Please make sure that you understand that means that they need to be 4 different sources that are cited in the text within text citations and then represented on the reference page as well. For some reason, sometimes people just list sources on the reference page without actually citing them in the text. Make sure you are citing these 4 sources of the text. Sources need to be documented with in-text citations and properly formatted references on your reference page using the APA style. If you struggle with APA format, I've said this 1,000 times this class, I'm sure, but go to OWL Purdue APA, take a look at what they have there as guides. It's the best method for learning how to do it. Length requirements. Your paper needs to be approximately 6 to 8 pages in length, including the title and reference page. Notice it says including the title and reference page. So title is 1 page, reference is 1 page. So essentially, you're writing about a 4 to 5 page paper with title and reference page added on. 1-inch margins on all sides, following APA guidelines. It says here acceptable fonts, but there's a variety of them. I don't know why it lists that. The only acceptable font you should ever be using for anything, pretty much, is 12-point font Times New Roman. Double space your entire paper. Use appropriate page numbers. Appropriate page, title page contents, title page format. All of this is standard APA, right? So basically, you're just writing you're taking your APA report, your formal report that we did in week 4, and you're just expanding on it, stretching it out, adding more research, fleshing out your ideas, cleaning up your mistakes, that sort of thing. All part of the writing process, right? Talked a lot about that before. The writing process is very much drafting, revising, editing, re-researching, rewriting, redrafting, kind of this cycle of working on it, bringing in new ideas, repeat, right? So this is kind of the culmination of your writing process. Let's take a look at the rubric. Let me bring it up real quick. All right, here's the rubric. Make sure you have a good thesis statement and introduction. So your introduction needs to grab the reader's attention, and your thesis needs to be highly developed and provide direction for the paper. Make sure your main ideas are well developed throughout the paper. Make sure your paper has exceptional organization. Make sure it has clear paragraph structure with supporting points, effective transitions. So basically, does your essay flow logically from idea to idea? Make sure that you're using exceptional vocabulary that displays subject or understanding of your subject or discipline. Essentially, make sure that the language you are using highlights the fact that you know what you're talking about. Finally, we have writing mechanics and formatting, APA formatting here, and then research, use of sources. Remember, you need to use 4 sources in text and with a reference page, and then use of citations to document those sources. Okay, so again, this shouldn't be too challenging if you had a good draft. Then there shouldn't, first draft a few weeks ago, then there shouldn't be a lot for you to do to finish it up. If you had less than a great draft, then you have a little bit more work to do, but that's okay. Let me get back to class. The next thing I want to talk about is the peer dialogue. Let me pull up the prompt. Okay, so the week 7 peer dialogue. As visual representations of information, graphics can be used in a number of ways and forms when conveying information in technical documents. Graphics should not simply be used for eye candy. Rather, graphics should be included only when they enhance the expression or conveyance of information. Just as with text information, graphics must be given the same consideration of purpose and audience needs when determining what graphics might be appropriate to include in a document. In this week's lesson, you're going to be working on the presentation of your research topic. And in this dialogue or this discussion, you will have the opportunity to show some graphics that you might include in your research presentation and receive peer feedback about those graphics. So in your first post, you're going to compile 2 to 3 different graphics, either from outside sources or ones you've created yourself that are relevant to your research. So you're just going to attach the graphics into your actual post. Post a minimum of 2 or a maximum of 3 graphics that you are considering for inclusion in your research presentation. Include a brief description of the topic of your presentation and your intended audience, and provide proper attribution for any graphics that you borrow from the internet. That means cite them. If you steal an image from a website, cite it properly so it's not stealing, it's borrowing, right? Identify 3 factors that you considered in choosing each graphic for your presentation, and explain why you feel each is a good graphic for your presentation. So basically, you're posting 2 to 3 graphics, and then you're explaining, you're making sure that you cite where you got it from, and then explaining what those graphics are, why you chose them, how they fit your audience, your topic, etc. Then you just need to reply to 2 classmates and critique their work. Okay, so that's it. That's not too bad, right? So once again, you have the presentation plan due Saturday, October 16th. Your first dialogue posts also due Saturday, October 16th. The final formal report due Monday the 18th. Chapter 6 and 12 reading test Tuesday the 19th, and dialogue replies Tuesday the 19th as well. If you have questions about anything, please let me know. Send me an email and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'm happy to help. I hope you guys have a great weekend.